Hello and welcome back. Let's talk about the sprint review and why the sprint review is such an important event. The sprint review is the event where a team or a group of teams demonstrates the product increment to stakeholders and or users. If you're not familiar with the expression product increment, that means the work that a team or a group of teams accomplished during the sprint. The idea is to elicit feedback from the users and the stakeholders that are attending the sprint review. It's a critical event that decides whether the work being delivered, the product increment, is delivering the value that the users and stakeholders are looking for. One of the things we have to be very careful when you demonstrate the product increment is to do it from the perspective of the stakeholder or user attending the sprint review. They are looking for outcomes, for what value is being delivered. For instance, what can I do now that I couldn't do before? What can I do now that is cheaper, faster, and better to accomplish? Value delivery. The focus of your demonstration of the product increment should be value delivery from the perspective of the user or stakeholder. So don't get too techy, don't get into the technical details. Nobody cares. Well, the team cares, but the stakeholders and the users, they really don't. They want to know is what is the outcome? What am I getting from this? So be careful, prepare demos from the point of view of the stakeholder or the user. Another thing that's very important to discuss on a sprint review by a team or by a group of teams is what did not completed and why. We all know that there are many things that happen beyond our control. It's important to be transparent about those so the users and stakeholders understand the implications of things that were difficult for the team, things beyond the control of the team. And the good thing about exposing those things is it becomes very clear the why they didn't get completed, but also opens the discussion on how can we prevent those things or how can we mitigate them in case they happen again. Which means we should be discussing obstacles that the team or the group of team encountered during the sprint. Another thing that we should add to that discussion is what did we learn? What things did we learn during the sprint as a team or as a group of teams? And that information should be socialized not only inside of the group of teams, but to other parts of the organization, because learnings are important. Sharing those learnings are even more important because you help other parts of the organization with problems that they may encounter or they already encountered. And then we can have a conversation. The way they solve something and the way that you solved something may be slightly different, but we can learn from both. So socializing information, socializing learnings, it's key, and the sprint review is a great part of it. Yet another thing to socialize during the sprint review are quality measurements. Yes, we're delivering value, that's great, but what's the quality of the product that we're delivering? What's the level of quality of that value that's being delivered? We should be always looking for quality metrics and quality measurements because they affect the outcome of that product increment that you just released for your users, stakeholders, and customers. It's very important to discuss quality. And it doesn't need to be a long conversation. It shouldn't be a long conversation. Remember, especially if you're doing sprint reviews at group of teams level, that can take a long time. And you have to optimize the time spent in any one of the things that you want to bring to a sprint review. So quality can be just an index, can be a number, can be a number of indexes that you publish so people can keep track of how good the quality is in relationship to the product increment that you are releasing. A question that I often get is, Q, who is going to facilitate the sprint review? Who is going to do the demos? Who is going to talk about quality? Who's going to talk about impediments? Who is going to talk about anything? Well, if you ask people, they're going to say, well, at team level, the product owner. At group of teams level, the chief product owner. That's normally what people do. It doesn't mean it has to be that way. I always tell my teams, the person facilitating the sprint review at team level or at group level should be the person who is good at facilitating things. Normally, it tends to be a product person because they were the ones who assign value and to help the teams plan how to deliver that value. But it doesn't need to be that way. One last thought, remember the sprint review is a feedback gathering mechanism. That feedback will influence the product backlog. And by influencing the product backlog means you may need to adjust your short-term, medium-term, and long-term planning, which is perfectly fine. What you want is to get the feedback in order to deliver the appropriate value to the customer, the user, and the stakeholder. Use the sprint review as a feedback mechanism, adapt to that feedback, and continue delivering value to your customer, your user, or your stakeholder. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.